Hey everybody, I'm Mama Baird and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, it's all about some freezer meals. Now, I've been motivated to make some freezer meals to make my life a little bit easier on me. So I'm going to be making a bulk batch to stock my freezer up. Now, what inspired this was this 1 gallon Italian dressing that I got from the food bank. I want to use this up, and I know a great way to do it is to have marinated chicken or beef in the freezer for an easy crock pot meal. So that's what I'm going to try with this. Also, one of you mentioned that you can use this in pizza crust instead of oil, and I thought that was a fantastic idea because I'm actually about to make a bunch of freezer pizzas. So thank you for that idea. Now, one of the things about me and my family is that if we were to splurge and go out to eat or to get food for takeout, it's pizza, especially Pizza Hut, because it's one in the town where when my husband gets off work, I can place in the order, and then by the time he gets there, it's hot, fresh, ready to go, and he brings it straight home. It's always delicious. But that can run up to anywhere between $30 to $50 for one night for my family of 5, which can be quite expensive. And as much as I love pizza, I just can't afford to do that very often. But you have those nights where you just don't feel like cooking. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna jump in there and we're gonna make some convenient pizza meals for myself, and I think it's gonna be easier than I think, and I know that my future self will really thank me. So let's get in here, let's get some pizzas made, and then also a couple of freezer meals. Before we get too much into the video though, please make sure that you give me a like, subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. Every like, comment, share, it really helps support my channel. Thank you so much, guys. All right, let's get in here. Let's get some pizza made. But first, I have to go pick up some supplies at the chef's store. So let's jump in the car and let's run to town. Welcome to our beautiful town of Missoula, Montana. I recently shopped at the chef's store, which is a restaurant supply store, and they sell a lot of things in bulk. And I was really impressed with the selection they have. So that's where I'm headed today to see what kind of deals I can get on making some freezer pizzas. So let's get in here, let's see what they have. A lot of you have said that you have a store like this called Gordon's Food Store, and that's very popular around your area. Now I'm going in here headed for some cheese. I don't quite know yet if I'm going to be buying blocks and shredding them, or if I'm going to be buying pre-shredded. I did notice last time though that they had this Italian cheese. It was $28.69 for 5 pounds, and it's got Asiago, Fontina, Parmesan, and Provolone. I think that just sounded really good for some pizzas, and I think that price was worth it considering I'm making my own pizzas. But I wanted to go through and just look at what other cheeses they have. Pepper jack looks good. I could put that on husband and I's pizza instead of the kids. And then I noticed they had this 3 cheese pizza blend, and it was on sale. $12.99 for 5 pounds, which is way better than the $28 I was just about to pay. So I was like, you know what, I think I'll just get this and I'll save that extra money because it doesn't really matter too much to me what the cheese is, and I'm really looking at cost right now. So this blend did sound good, but I think I'm going to put this other one back and just use the 5 pounds of the regular cheese. So that way it just saves me that much extra money, and then maybe next time I can splurge on that cheese. Now, as I'm still looking down the cheese, I noticed that the same brand also has a 5 pound of just plain mozzarella. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that as well. So I'll have double the cheese for less price than I was going to grab for that other one. Even though that was a really good deal, I still want to get over here and just kind of look at the block cheese and see whether that would be a good deal as well. Maybe I can get a different type of cheese that I liked in that one and add it to it. But I just wasn't looking to add any additional costs, and it seemed to be better just to have that pre-shredded pizza blend already. So I went ahead and went with that. They did have some sales on like the sliced cheese, but I wasn't looking to get anything but the pizza stuff. I do have pepperoni at home. I was seeing if they had any here that was pre-sliced. They probably had it somewhere else in the store because I didn't see it here with all the meats and the sausages. But look at this giant thing of bologna. Jumbo bologna. That caught my eye. I gotta get that next time. So I'm over here in the freezer section because I'm looking for some pre-cooked Italian sausage. I saw it here last time I was here, and I remembered it, and I was like, ooh, that would be great for the pizzas, because that's one of the things that we always get, Italian sausage. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to splurge and get that. So I went ahead and got that. And then I noticed that the pizza sauce was on sale, and then it kind of clicked with me. I'm like, I think they're running a pizza sale this week. So I should look to see if they have coupons now. I didn't notice that. So the good brand was on sale for $7.49, and then they had the cheaper, more generic brand. And I was like, you know what, I'll go with the better one. It seemed to be a good price difference, so maybe it's a really high quality pizza sauce. And then I found this freezer that had pizza dough, so I thought I'd just go and get some pricing for you guys. It was like $103 for a frozen case where they already have them pre-made though, so that would be pretty convenient so you don't have to make the dough yourself. And I didn't even know about this cooler last time. It has a walk-in freezer and it has puff pastry up there. They have 5 gallons of ice cream. That was a dangerous discovery, let me tell you. This must be where I got that box of biscuits I got at the food bank one time. But it was really cold in here, so I had to get out of here. But I just couldn't believe that they had ice cream in there and that I missed that last time. I had to come down here and check out all these gorgeous containers and kind of drool a little bit because I would love to have those in my kitchen someday. I did end up grabbing a thing of bleach as well because I need some to clean my hot tub, and I noticed it on the way out, so I grabbed it, and that was all I bought at the store. So let's head out. Alright guys, we made it out of the store. So I did go in for a different cheese, the first one that I grabbed, but these ones were on sale. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and get it. And you know, the things, it says here pizza flyer, so I'm guessing all pizza stuff was on sale. So this was a great week for me to come here. I didn't even look to see that they had sales. I didn't know they had sales. So that's awesome. So this was the perfect week for me to decide to stock up on some frozen pizza. $21.19 for 3 pounds. I think it was 3 pounds. I'd say 5 pounds. So $21.19 for 5 pounds of already pre-cooked sausage. That's gonna help. And then those cheeses were on sale. So roughly without the bleach, I spent about $55. That is fantastic. And the rest of the stuff I'm gonna have at home. So let's get home and let's start putting together some pizzas. Now that I got all my ingredients from the chef store, I want to make that pizza crust. Now before I go and make 20 pizza crusts with the Italian dressing instead of oil, I want to make sure it works. So let's get in here and let's make a test run first to make sure that the pizza is going to taste the way that we want it. For the pizza dough, I'm going to use 3.5 cups of flour. I'm just using regular unbleached all-purpose. And then I'm going to be using some yeast that I opened up in November of 2020. And I've had it in my fridge, so I want to see if it still works. 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm using my herb salt. And then usually it's a 1/3 cup of some type of oil, usually an olive oil. But I do have the dressing, so I'm going to add a 1/3 cup of dressing in there. And then it takes 1 1/3 cup of water. I did warm water. It helps the yeast to have warm water. And then it also called for a tablespoon of sugar, but since the vinaigrette has sugar in it, I decided to skip that sugar. And then it seemed to work just fine. So I'm going to mix it just for a little bit on speed 2, just to get it moved around until it's incorporated. And then now that it's all one ball, it's kind of sticking around and sticking to the center of the hook. It's not really kneading, so I feel like it needs a little more flour. So I'm just going to take it off the hook. I'm going to add some flour to the bottom of the bowl, just about 1/4 cup, because it's still super sticky and it needs to be kneaded more. But since it's sticking to the hook, it's not kneading. After about 10 minutes of it kneading, I feel like it is to the consistency that we're looking for. I'm going to knead it by hand a little bit just to make sure. One thing I know about bread is that whenever it's ready, it's going to be a smooth top. Like right now, it tears a lot easier. So that, in my opinion, means that you need to knead it a little more. But like I said, this is my first time doing anything really with pizza dough. So if there's any professional pizza dough kneaders out there, please let me know in the comments below what is the best way. After that, you want to make sure that you put it in a pan that is oiled. So I'm just going to use some olive oil spray. That works just fine. Or you can put a plop of oil in there. And then we're going to cover it in a towel. And I'm going to put it in my windowsill like a magical, poetic moment. Well, it didn't work. It was way too cold and I needed to go in an oven like normal. So just proof your dough in the oven, people. So that means I struggled a bit with the dough. So here it is already on the bar pan. This is the whole dough ball. And now I'm going to be adding some garlic Alfredo sauce. Lots of times when we go order pizza from Pizza Hut, we do the white garlic sauce. So this is going to be perfect as a substitute for that. You can also make homemade Alfredo sauce to go on top of this. That's probably what I'm going to do next time. And then we're going to be putting our sausage. Remember, this is our one that we're just going to be testing to make sure that the dough tastes good. So let's put some sausage on there. Let's put some bacon bits. This is our go-to pizza if we order from Pizza Hut. Sausage, bacon bits, and then we're going to add some pineapple. This pineapple definitely belongs on pizza in our family's book. You can definitely leave this video a like if you disagree. I am fine with that. So we're going to add some pineapple, and this is our 3-topping pizza that we usually order. So I'm going to add some of the cheese on top of it. Let's do a layer of mozzarella. And now I'm going to be adding some of the packets of Parmesan cheese that I got from the food bank. About 3 of them per pizza seems to work pretty well. And we're going to bake this at 425 for probably about 15 minutes. Now I'm going to cut the sound back into this video so you can just hear the crunchiness of this crust. I think it does really well in cast iron or cooking pizza in stoneware.
It has 3 models that can get the videos. 3 models.
I think overall it did a pretty good job for my first time making pizza. So I'm going to put this on my huge cutting board that I got, and now I'm going to give it a couple of slices. And I do want you to know that I do have a subscriber who sponsored a new cutting board for me, so I do have to go get that first. I have a Buy Me a Coffee page, and she bought me my cutting board I've been wanting. So thank you so much, Jennifer. I probably could have baked it a little longer because the crust wasn't as super crunchy, but still, guys, this was delicious. All right, guys, I am going to go ahead and start my pizza dough since I made it last night and I found out that it does work fantastic. A couple of comments about it is that one whole recipe was a little thick for the 1 bar pan. So I'm thinking I'll make a double recipe and then maybe break it up into thirds. Also, the dough was a little dense, so maybe I need to let it proof a little more or something. I also think having less dough will help with that as well. So those were the feedback from the husband. So there's 3 scoops. This is just regular all-purpose flour. 3 scoops, 3 cups, 4, 5, 6, and then a half, so we're going to do 7. Just going to go ahead and add 7, and then if we need to add more, we can. And then to this, we are going to add the salt. It definitely needed the salt in there, so I'm glad that I added it. And you know, guys, I got a bunch of these little salt packets from the food bank. Salt and then Parmesan cheese. So you saw me add these to the ones last night. So I'm going to do the same thing. And then I'm going to add this to the pizza. But I wanted to know, are you guys ever curious of how much salt comes in one of these little packets? Let's measure it, shall we? Let's see, here's a 1/4 teaspoon. Probably about 1/2 quarter. So 1/8 of a teaspoon. Let's do another packet. Yep, a little bit, about under 1/4 of a teaspoon for 2 packets. That's kind of fun. So that way, if I ever run out of salt or I need to measure, I can just say, hey, I need 4 packets for a teaspoon of salt. I don't know, something I got them free, might as well use them. But for now, I'm going to use my herb salt. So we're going to do 2 teaspoons, and then whenever this is out, then I'll use regular salt. I just think the herb sea salt will add some nice flavor. Okay, 2 teaspoons of salt. And then I'm also going to have this recipe listed below for you guys, so you don't have to remember all this. Then we're going to do 4 tablespoons of yeast. This is one of these recipes where you can activate your yeast if you want to. I'm just putting it straight in the bowl, and it seemed to work just fine. So I really like that it's kind of no-brainer, you know, no nonsense. Just put it in the bowl, it gets it done. That's what I like. Now, I decided not to put any sugar in it because this has high fructose corn syrup in it, which is, you know, sugar. But also it has 2 grams of sugar, so I think it's fine. And the dough rose just fine yesterday, so I'm going to keep using that. I'm going to add 2/3 of a cup. I really liked, you could see like the flecks of the red pepper in this. I forgot what Italian dressing smells like. When I worked at Ruby Tuesday, I was in charge of the salad bar. And if you guys know about Ruby Tuesday and that salad bar, it was a high ticket item and people took it very seriously. And Italian dressing was always one that we put on there, so the smell of it kind of reminds me of that. All right, and now I'm going to get water. We're going to get 2.5 cups of warm water. All right, that is all in there, so let's lock it and let's give it a stir. It's coming together. some of the dryness is still on the bottom. So that'll get flipped up and mixed around. And we're gonna let this knead for probably about 10 minutes. And then I'll bring it back when it's all incorporated. You guys, my friggin' dough hook broke. Like, oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. Well, that stinks. Unfortunately, I do not trust that this is okay, so I'm gonna have to throw this dough away because I don't want any kind of contamination in it, but oh my gosh, that sucks. All right, I might have to switch to my my red mixer then. We'll break out the Yeast, because apparently little mini here can't handle it. So let's get this pitched and let's start over. Man. All right, so I got my mixer switched out for my red one here that I got from my Aunt Dinah. We actually call this one the Yeast. So hopefully she can handle the double batch of pizza dough. That was pretty intense. Has that happened to anybody? I don't even feel like I used the dough hook that much at all. Like, I can't tell you the last time I've used it. So it's a little interesting to me that it broke. But it was meant to be. I now gave that dough to the children, so they're playing with it. So I gave them something to do. And, you know, at least it was all ingredients that we had on hand. So it's not nothing that, you know, was major. Just took a little bit of time and a little bit of switching out equipment, but that is okay. And a half. All right, that's all we needed. Let's put this dough hook on. Oh, I'm glad I had a backup mixer. Not that many people have that. All right, let's get it stirred up. This is pretty sticky, so I'm gonna stop it and add some flour. Put a little bit of flour down. I'm gonna call that good. It feels nice and fluffy. It's stretchy. Oh, get out of here. Give myself much space. Yeah, that's good. All right, here's the bowl from the smaller mixer. I'm gonna put just a little bit of olive oil in there. Actually, probably a little more. That was like a teaspoon. Let's do a couple tablespoons. We're gonna put this in upside down, spin it around, and then rotate it. So the oiled version's on the top, and that'll help keep it from drying out, and then it'll rise up. I'm gonna cover this with some plastic wrap. And all I did to get my oven ready to proof this is I turned it on and let it start heating up for about 3 minutes, and then I turned it off. And that's all I'm gonna do to prep my oven to get it heated up for this. And we're gonna put it in there for about an hour, and then we'll check it. And while that first round is proofing, I'm gonna put this back in here, make another batch, and then we'll do some freezer meals while we wait for that to proof. All right, guys, so here is the first dough after about an hour and 15 minutes. So that's looking pretty good. I'm not going to manhandle that just yet. I'm gonna put that aside. I do have some Italian dressing left over, and I'm going to be doing some of my freezer meals, but I do want to put some of this in a store-bought jar, just had like sauce in it, and start separating it. I don't think I'm going to use all this in my freezer meals as well. So when you have something this big of a quantity, you want to separate it into smaller ones, and that'll help it last longer because less air gets into it. If I'm filling this all the way up to the top here, and then I put my lid on it, this is gonna have less air, which means it's less likely to get contaminated and go bad because less air can get to it. Air is really the culprit in a lot of making food go bad, air and moisture. So if you can eliminate as much air as possible, like it would possibly even be better to flip this upside down so there's really hardly any chance of the air getting into it. And this will keep for a lot longer if you store it this way. So I have all those pizzas made, which I'm probably going to have enough. I don't know if I want to cut these in quarters or in thirds, but I'll have anywhere from 12 to 16. And then this is what's left over for my freezer meals. I'm going to go ahead and get my station cleaned up a bit though before I start breaking out the dough, get this picked up, and then we'll start cooking off some dough. All right, everybody, this has been proofing. This is ready to go. I got actually all 4 bowls. And remember, this was a double recipe of each one. So I'm gonna put some flour down. Kind of plate it a little bit. These are the bar pans that I'm going to be putting them in. Should probably weigh these, would probably be better than eyeballing. Let's do 4. And then I'm just going to kind of pull it, let gravity do its thing. You can use your knuckles to stretch it. Just kind of hold it. Let gravity do the work for you. Look, you can see the red in there from the Italian. It's pretty nice. So I'm trying to do bar pan here. And I'm just going to par cook this, which means partially cook. So par cook, partial cook. So that way it can hold up in the freezer, and when I thaw it and bake it, or actually I'm going to bake this from frozen, and that way the crust won't get all, what's the word I'm looking for? Soggy.
Mama,
Yeah?
I love Cheetos.
You love Cheetos? Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I mean, it looks a little thin in here, a little thicker over here. Some of this is gonna be perfect. And then I'm going to stab this with a fork a couple of times. This will keep it from having air bubbles like poofing up too, you know. Alright, so my oven is heating up to 425, and then I'm going to cook this for a couple of minutes, and that's all you're going to have to do to get this prepped up to start putting your toppings on it. So I'm going to start working on that. I'm going to show you how all that dough turned out in a couple of minutes. Like I said, the kids were nagging me for pizza for dinner. Since I was in the middle of making pizza all day, they said we got to have it for dinner, so we did. I went ahead and cooked up 2 of the doughs for dinner. So this one I'm going to be making for the kid one. I usually put oil down when I'm baking them fresh, so I don't know why I didn't do that with the other ones. I think that would have helped kind of with the browning. I just didn't want it to be too brown for the par cooking, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to do what I showed you and just kind of stretch it out. I'm going to try and make it fit this pan. The oil makes it a little slippery, so it's not always the best. But you don't have to bake this perfect, guys. Just kind of stretch it. The warmer the dough, the easier it is to stretch. Sometimes you have to let it relax for a bit. Now this one I'm going to try without the oil and just kind of see if there is a difference. I have some leftover pizza sauce that I had in a container in the fridge, so I'm going to use that before I open up that number 10 can. Make sure you're scraping your containers to get all of your product out. And you want to use a small amount of sauce, not too much sauce, because it does go a long way. Always want to leave about a 1-inch border for the crust. Now if you're one of those where you don't like any crust, load it up. I also want to tell you with pizzas, the toppings tend to sink in the middle more. So kind of leave a little opening in the middle, especially on round ones, because when you slice it, it all tends to go to the center. So it's easier to kind of space it out a bit and not have it so much in the center when you're putting the toppings on. And speaking of toppings, we're going to be putting on this Italian sausage. And I'll say it again, we're putting pineapple on the pizza. For those of you who don't like pineapple on pizza, this meme's for you. Just to let you know, though, we can still be friends even if you don't like pineapple on your pizza. I am okay with that. So after the pineapple, we are going to be adding our bacon bits. Throw on that cheese. I just did the mozzarella. And then now the pepperoni, you want to go on top of the cheese. All the other toppings, you want to go below that. So that's why I'm putting those on top. Here is the pizza all done. It does look pretty good. I do need to cook a little more. I don't know if I should raise my heat up more to get it more of a crunch, or if this was a little too thick still. It tasted really good though, and the kids ate it up. I added cowboy candy that I had in the fridge though to ours, so it could kind of be a preview of the spicy that we're going to be using with the jalapenos. Really like the addition of the sweet pineapple and the spicy jalapenos with the salty sausage. You should give it a try. Hey everybody, good morning. It is the next day. I got all those pizza crusts cooked off. Whew, that turned into quite a day, let me tell you. But I'm glad I decided to do it all at once because I was able to kind of get my flow going and also to practice how I make them and kind of retrain myself, I guess, on pizzas. It's been a while since I've made pizzas. I used to cook them at the Cheesecake Factory when I worked there. I worked sandwich, salad, and pizza station. And we would par cook our crust there. So it turned out pretty good. I'm using my square bar pan and I like that it is that shape. It kind of took it. It's a little thin in places. You don't want to cook it till it's any brown in there. I think I did a pretty good job. Overall, I'm pretty proud of myself. You can see a little of the red flakes in there from the Italian dressing. That's fun. So those are some of the later ones I did. You can tell some of the newer first ones where I was trying to figure out the dough ratio. I was trying to figure out how to stretch it. So these ones aren't necessarily the best. This one's just kind of a, what do you got here kind of pizza. Call this a practice one, right? So you can definitely tell the difference. This one got a little thin. And this one just kind of crumbled apart. I don't think I baked this one long enough. And it's really thin right here. So I don't think this one's going to be any good. And that's okay. Like, this was my first couple ones. Right here's really thin. I don't know. I think it'll be okay. I only lost one. There's one I'm not going to use. But yeah, we'll just get that one to the chickens. That's okay. Overall, pretty good job. Pretty proud of myself. And let's see how many I have. I cooked some for dinner. The kids are like, Mom, you can't be making pizza and not cook pizza. What the? So I was like, all right, I'll cook it. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I got 9, and then I'm counting this one. I'll make this one a one for husband and I a little bit. I got my different types of toppings. I have bacon. I have the Italian sausage. I'm so glad that I bought this Italian sausage. Like, just by having the last couple of pizzas with it on there, it's exactly like the store-bought pizza that you're looking for. So I'm glad I decided to splurge and get that particular topping. And then I have homemade ground pepper bacon, well, not homemade, home ground pepper bacon that I grinded up, and it's perfect for like the bacon bits. And then we're gonna open up our pizza sauce, our olives, our jalapenos. I got artichokes, a little bit of pineapple left. I'm gonna top them off with some Italian seasoning. And then we got our cheese blend. I think I'm gonna open this bag. I have been just using the mozzarella, but this one's mozzarella, mild cheddar, and provolone. So I think I'm gonna use this. And then we have our little packets of Parmesan cheese right here that I will use as well, and hopefully get those used up, and then I still got the little bits of salt. So that's kind of my plan. So we're gonna get in here, let's open up some cans, get some toppings set up, and then we'll start doing our assembly line. So let's go. I opened up that cheese. Here's some marinated artichokes. I'm gonna get these in here and draining a little bit so I don't put oil on there. Oh, I wanted to sample. And then one thing I did not mention, where's my can opener? I can find it. One thing I did not mention with any of these toppings that are left over from these number 10 cans, I'm gonna recan them as well and put them in smaller containers and have them on my shelf. So that way I don't have to feel obligated to use this whole number 10 can of ingredients, and I can still save it and it won't go bad. So I'm going to be doing that as well. We are gonna save this juice because we're gonna need it to re-can the jalapenos in. Oh, it's a lot of jalapenos. Look at that. Definitely not going to be using all of these. Those look nice though. All right, let's do the same thing over here with the olives. Strain these olives. And again, we're saving the juice because if we're gonna recan this, then we're gonna need it. That's a lot of olives. No way we're gonna be getting through all those as well. What do you guys think? You guys like olives? I don't mind them. Like, I don't know if I can sit there and just like eat a bunch of olives, but I don't mind them and I like them on pizza. But a number 10 can, that's intimidating, right? Like, what am I gonna do with 3 pounds of olives, right? Well, this is a way that you can use it. So we got our olives. Let's open up the sauce. These jalapenos are making me hungry. I don't know why, the smell of the spice. Some yummy tomato sauce. All right, guys, we're gonna assemble a pizza. So we're gonna take some sauce, spread it around. It may seem like, oh yeah, I like lots and lots of sauce, but a little sauce goes a long way on a pizza. You don't want it too much sauce on there. And then I'm gonna put this Italian sausage. I'm really glad I took the time to splurge on this and get this as a topping instead of trying to make my own. I feel like this has made a really big difference in making it feel like an actual, you know, pizza from a restaurant and not just homemade. And then I got some ground pepper bacon. Gonna put some bacon in there. I like that it's grounded, kind of like bacon bits. So it makes it easier to chew and stuff. And then I'm gonna put some pineapple. Almost out of pineapple. We love pineapple on our pizza. Good. I'm also gonna do some olives. I don't think the kids have ever had olives on their pizza before, but we need to use them up. And their best friend likes olives on hers, so I think they would like this. And if not, they can just pick it off. They'll be fine. No jalapenos though. So I'm gonna put a little bit of just the plain mozzarella. The really best way to make sure that all the pizzas are the same or weigh the same or cost the same is to weigh out all your ingredients. I'm not really that particular about it. And then we'll do the 3 cheese blend here. I just want some frozen pizza in my freezer, you know what I'm saying? So, put that in there. And now we're gonna do the pepperoni. Pepperoni, all the other toppings, you want them to be under the cheese, except for the pepperoni, you want that on top. So we'll put all this on top. I'm really glad that I took the time to make all the pizza dough yesterday and get it all baked off. I mean, that did take all day, but it was worth it to get it. So now I just have to assemble, get them wrapped up, and get them in the freezer. So this is kind of a, I'd say a 3-day project because it took a day to get everything prepped, bought, set up. You know, you kind of have like in your mind what you're going to need, and that's all while you're doing all your other things. So I'm glad I was able to get that dough all cooked off. That really made a huge difference. I know I'm going to do 3 packs of these little things of Parmesan cheese. And then I have some commercial saran wrap or plastic wrap that I got from Applebee's when I worked there. They would let me buy restaurant stuff at commercial, well, their price. So that was nice. So saran wrap was definitely one of the things that I purchased because I like it because it's big. It's nice and wide. So that way, when it comes to a whole pizzas like this, you can wrap it up. And got plenty of room, you know. You don't have to worry about having a little thing of plastic wrap, fiddling with it, you know, I don't know. This is pretty great. Okay. And then on here, I'm just gonna write kids to know that it's the kid-friendly one, the month and the year. And that's going in the freezer. All right, guys, this one I added sausage, bacon, olives, artichokes, jalapenos. I used the 3-cheese blend with provolone, cheddar, and mozzarella in there. And then I'm going to be putting the pepperoni on top. So I'm really excited to try this with the pineapple and the jalapenos and the olives. So let's get this wrapped up. The best way I found to store these is to put saran wrap on the bottom, wrap up one layer, and tuck it into the bottom. And then you're going to do another pull of saran wrap on the bottom, then rotate the pizza so the ends you just tucked in are now going to be sealed with the new layer of saran wrap, and then you're going to tuck those ends on the opposite side, and that gets you a complete seal ready for the freezer. Alright guys, I got all the pizzas done. I ended up getting 5 done for the kids. So I just wrote kids on there, got that stack. One of the crusts was really thin in spots and broken, so I just decided to give that one to the chickens. Chalk that up as a learning experience. But we got 4 for husband and I for sure that got the spiciness on them. I'm super excited that I got these done and to have these in my freezer. It was a bit of work, but I'm glad that I did it, and I feel like next time's going to be a little faster because I got the hang of it and I got it rolling. So we're going to go get this in the freezer, and then we are going to make some freezer meals next, so hang tight. Before we get into the freezer meals, I'm going to be showing you how to save your leftover number 10 can and recan them. These are jalapenos. I'm going to be filling the jars up just to the 1-inch mark, pushing a little bit but not too compact. Now this is an iffy method. The USDA does not like this because it says that the food becomes mushy and it processes differently and you can't be sure that bacteria won't be in it. Usually with vinegar and pickled foods, it is okay to recan though, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I just wanted to make sure that I gave all the information out there and to do this at your own risk and what you're comfortable with. You're going to reuse the jalapeno juice that came with it. The same thing with the olives. You're going to save that juice. You're going to reuse that. You're going to fill it up to the 1-inch line, and then after that you're going to debubble. You're just going to be putting something into the container and moving it around. I like to use a Pampered Chef Sister Peel. It's something plastic. I can scoot stuff around. This gets all the air bubbles out, so that way there's no leftover air trapped in there. Once you have debubbled all of your jars, you're going to need some white vinegar. I like to splash some on the floor and some on my towel. And then you're going to wipe your rims. The whole point of this step is to make sure that you clean the rim so that it'll seal really well. So you want to make sure that you take the time to do this. Now with the canning lids, I do reuse my lids, but I like to check them first to make sure that I think they'll be okay. So what I look for when I check my lids is to make sure that the rubber is good, there's no rust or staining on them. So this lid right here is a no-go because of the damage to it. Now, when it's time to put your rings on there, you want to put them on fingertip tight. You don't want to like channel you're in a Thor and put them on super tight, just enough to get them so you can't turn them anymore. Now, when it comes to the water bath, you can use any kind of pot as long as the water comes an inch above the jars when you put them in, and it needs some kind of barrier in the bottom, a towel, a rack, something of the sort. I am using my pressure cooker. I like to use that as a water bath canner as well. As soon as the water comes up to a boil, you're going to set your timer for 15 minutes. That's how long these need a water bath for. After your 15 minutes are up, you want to turn off your heat and let it sit for 10 minutes. This is an important step because it will prevent siphoning, which is just the liquid getting drawn out of the jars. So after you pull them out, let them sit for 12 to 24 hours, and just like that, you have recanned some number 10 cans for a convenience grab-and-go portion on your shelf. Now let's get into the freezer meals. I have a 4.5 pound pot roast here, like it says blade roast. So I'm going to cook this in the crock pot here. I made some verde sauce the other day from some tomatillos that I got from the food bank. So I'm gonna cook with that. I don't really like eating salsa verde. I don't know, it's just kind of acidic to me or bitter. But I think that it makes really great marinade for meat. So I'm gonna throw that in there. So I have a little more of the Italian dressing. I think I'm going to measure 2 cups, put that in there. I know that seems like a lot. We'll see how it goes. I have a lot of this dressing, so Maybe it'll make a nice creamy sauce. Put the lid on, and I'm gonna put this on high because it's already 1 o'clock to get that going. Let's assemble some freezer meals. I have some chicken breast here. I'm gonna put these in a gallon Ziploc bag for the freezer. All right, there's 4. All right, I'm gonna pour some Italian dressing in here. And a cup. I have some ranch mix left. I'm gonna throw that in there. And then I have a little bit of the jalapeno pickle juice. I'm gonna pour that in there as well. Just mix all that up. There we go. Now I have a beef skirt steak here. Alright, I'm gonna do this again. Italian dressing. The rest of the ranch packet. And jalapeno juice. Always make sure that you label and date your freezer meals so that way you can remember, because you think you're going to remember, but you're not. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of this meat in some bags, and then we'll doctor them up. Then I have some of this barbecue sauce here. So now I'm going to add some barbecue sauce to the tenderloin, to the tri-tip roast, and then to the chicken.
Can I ask you something?
No. What?
Are you gonna finish your noodles?
Yeah, I already finished them, honey.
You did?
Yes. Make sure we're labeling. We don't get them mixed up. 23. This will do barbecue beef. And then this is barbecue chicken. Alright, so we got 3 different types of barbecue freezer meals, as well as 3 types of the Italian ranch and jalapeno marinade. So that's fantastic. There's 6 freezer meals. And then I am going to have to can up the rest of this barbecue sauce, which is going to be just the same, guys, that I did with the jalapenos and the olives and the marinara sauce. We're going to transfer this to different jars. We're going to water bath for 15 minutes. Then it'll become shelf stable. So I'm going to do that, the rest of that barbecue sauce. We have our Verde pot roast in the crock pot. I'm not going to finish that for this episode. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm just going to get cooked so I can have some meat to use. And then we made 9 pizzas for the freezer. I think that's fantastic. That's a total of 15 freezer meals plus 1 for dinner. Not too bad. I wanted to do more than just 15, but that's okay. The bread took a while to do, but I'm glad I got in there and I learned how to do it. And then I got to break down some bulk items, and I got a lot of number 10 cans canned up and out of my pantry and ready to be used in a little more convenient way. So that's nice that I was able to get that accomplished as well. So I'm not too disappointed in the 15 meals, plus this will make quite a bit and we'll have leftovers so I can cook more. But thanks for coming along and going shopping with me and cooking with me and making some meal prep and water bathing with me. Man, we did a lot in this episode. Thanks for being here, and thanks for all your love and support, guys. I'll catch you next time on Mama Baird's.